Sunlight is our main source of ultraviolet radiation. It's essential for life on Earth, but it also carries serious biological risks for our exposed skin. UV light consists of electromagnetic waves. These pack more energy and travel at much shorter wavelengths than the visible light we actually see. The absolute shortest of these waves, UVC, never reaches the Earth's surface. That leaves us dealing with two specific incoming threats, UVA and UVB. Notice how the medium wavelength UVB wave stops at the skin's superficial top layer. Small doses help synthesize vitamin D, but the longer UVA wave bypasses those layers entirely, penetrating deep into tissue. Prolonged exposure to both damages DNA, accelerates aging, and drives skin cancers. Because of this, sunscreen serves a highly specific medical purpose. It is a mandatory active shield against two distinct long-term biological threats. But acting on that medical necessity usually means standing in a pharmacy aisle, staring down an overwhelming wall of colorful bottles. Marketing teams bombard you with conflicting promises. You see triple-digit SPF numbers, loud reef-safe claims, and endless debates over aerosols versus lotions. It's impossible to point to a single perfect bottle. Every product forces a trade-off between three core variables: the SPF rating, the application method, and the specific active ingredients inside. Your choice depends on priorities. For the convenience optimizer, speed and ease are all that matter when chasing a toddler at the beach. The health purist has a different agenda. They demand maximum ultraviolet protection, strictly avoiding absorbing any synthetic skin irritants in the process. And then there is the eco-conscious vacationer. They refuse to let their personal sun protection poison the delicate marine ecosystems they traveled to see. To actually solve this dilemma, we have to ignore the front label marketing and match the specific chemistry of the bottle to your specific lifestyle priorities. Let's isolate that first variable, SPF, or sun protection factor. This is simply a measurement of how much UVB radiation it takes to burn protected skin. Most people look at the bottles and assume the math is linear, that buying SPF 100 gets you twice the protection of SPF 50. This non-linear curve chart shows how diminishing the returns actually are. If you look at the baseline, SPF 15 already blocks a highly effective 93% of incoming UVB rays. When we double that rating and move along the curve to SPF 30, the protection doesn't double. It only yields a 4% increase, blocking 97% of the rays. And if you push all the way up to SPF 50, the curve practically flattens. You block 98% of UVB rays, a mere 1% improvement over the 30 rating. Furthermore, SPF calculates the quantity of solar exposure. Your actual burn time relies heavily on secondary factors like your personal genetics, your geographic location, and the time of day. Paying a premium for extreme SPF ratings often creates a false sense of invincibility. People trust the big number, stay out in the direct sun far too long, and fail to reapply. That brings us to the second variable, application method. This is where aerosol sprays dominate the market, heavily favored by the convenience optimizer. Sprays are undeniably fast. If you need to cover squirming children or apply protection over wet skin at the beach, an aerosol can gets the job done in seconds. But that speed comes with a significant behavioral flaw. Studies consistently show that users fail to apply a thick enough layer of spray to actually achieve the SPF protection advertised on the can. There is also a distinct physiological trade-off. When you fire an aerosol, you risk inhaling those aerosolized sunscreen compounds directly into your lung tissue. The rapid speed of an aerosol spray inherently compromises the reliability of your ultraviolet shield, and it introduces an entirely avoidable inhalation risk compared to traditional lotions. The final and most critical variable to consider is the active ingredient, the actual chemical mechanism that neutralizes the sun's radiation. This side-by-side comparison illustrates the two available mechanisms. On the left, we have carbon-based chemical sunscreens using organic compounds like oxybenzone. Notice how they actively absorb the incoming UV photons into the skin. Once absorbed, the chemical formula processes that energy and harmlessly dissipates it outward as heat. Now look at the right side of the matrix. Inorganic mineral sunscreens, using elements like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, take a completely different approach. They sit on top of the skin, creating a physical shield that deflects the UV waves entirely. The user experience between the two is drastically different. Carbon-based chemicals apply thinly and turn invisible, but they carry a much higher risk of irritating human skin. Mineral formulas leave a thick, noticeable white cast on the skin. However, because they sit on the surface rather than absorbing into it, they are highly recommended for the health purist looking to avoid irritation. You have to choose your trade-off: the cosmetic elegance of an invisible chemical absorber, or the proven skin safety of a thick mineral deflector. For the eco-conscious vacationer, the stakes of active ingredients extend beyond personal skincare. What you apply eventually washes into a river or ocean. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the global ocean floor, yet they provide the foundational habitat for nearly 25% of all marine fish species. Carbon-based chemical ingredients, specifically compounds like oxybenzone and octinoxate, are highly toxic to these living coral structures. When exposed to these chemicals, the coral undergoes a severe biological reaction. The toxicity kills off the coral's symbiotic algae, stripping away both their vital food source and the brilliant rainbow colors they provide. This triggers a severe stress condition known as coral bleaching. The coral turns stark white, becomes highly susceptible to disease, and rapidly faces localized death. Using chemical sunscreens in marine environments directly triggers localized ecosystem collapse, making them structurally incompatible with natural bodies of water. We can synthesize all of these variables into a concrete decision matrix for your next purchase. Look at the starting node of this flowchart. The primary environmental filter is simple. Are you swimming in a natural body of water? If yes, you require a mineral lotion. Moving to the health purist node. Do you have sensitive skin? If yes, you must also route strictly to a mineral-based lotion to avoid irritation. Finally, for the convenience optimizer, are you applying on the go to a moving target? If you choose a spray, you must actively over-apply to compensate for the intentionally thin format. The next time you are in the pharmacy aisle, ignore the large SPF numbers printed on the front label. Turn the bottle around and immediately check the active ingredients list for zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, or coral-harming chemicals. Taking 5 extra seconds to read the back of the bottle ensures you maximize ultraviolet protection without sacrificing your physiological health or the surrounding environment.